So I wanted to get started because you started talking about some interesting things and I wanted to talk about it on here.
Oh,
We're not good at that. We
No.
tend to just start talking.
yeah. Okay.
So
what do
you
wanna
were
talk-
saying that you were having some sleep.
Yeah. So I
can share about
noticed
that.
that when I wake up, when the Lord wakes me up throughout the night, then I'm interceding for someone or something. And he'll usually give me a name or he'll give me this thought. And the thought can run. And sometimes I'm like, no, that then is my thoughts. Cause then I'm like, it's like running through things that aren't real.
It's like fast.
It's so fast.
Whenever it's fast, I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yeah. I was like, whoa,
It's
wait.
always like really peaceful and like firm.
Right.
Whenever it's not me.
Yes.
I just know it's not me. But when it starts crying, I'm like, oh, that's how I think.
Yeah. And I can see it. I have to stop it. I have to be like, no, wait, God, what do you want me to know about this? And he just has been saying it I think what I'm realizing is we're in a new season and the old wants to cling on as a distraction to go back to the way you used to think or feel or handle or do. And the Lord's like, you are connected to me. The new, you've refined, we've purified you, we've made you ready as my bride. And in this moment of waking, I can sense either if I'm interceding for somebody who's also trying to be purified and is up against warfare, or I can sense like a name that just comes to my heart. And I would say that the Lord has really worked on this skill of prophetic for me, where I can hear him and I hear a word for him. And the way the Lord speaks to me is it's usually in the throne room and I see him sitting on the throne and I get this like right side view of him speaking to the person. And the person is usually in a childlike form, even if they're an adult. So if I see, let's say my husband, Nick, I see him in this young childlike form. And so he's young and he's a child and he's sitting there and he might feel heavy or he might feel joyful or he might just be looking up in the Lord. Like whatever it is that the Lord is giving me in that picture, I just always see the Lord falling over the child and just speaking life into the child, like who he is, who he's created to be. You're my son. There's so much love usually in that moment. And sometimes he picks him up and he carries him and holds him. Sometimes he like just hugs him, like whatever, or whoever it is. And so the last 3 nights have been a different person. And those situations have happened. And all of them have been consistently dealing with some sort of heaviness. So the Lord just says, like when he shows it to me, then he says, I want you to intercede for this. And then that's what happens. And it oftentimes is not for them to know. It's more for me to just do in that moment. And I always notice it around like between 3 and 4. It's like prime time. Last night was a little bit earlier, but usually 3 or 4.
What would you say interceding is? Because I don't think I wouldn't say the general public knows what that word means.
So
I only have like recently understood it. So when
yeah,
you're saying it, I just want to make sure there's like clarity of what that means.
yeah. The intercession is or anyone God tells to pray for something for them and almost make it so it's united, make it so it's whole, make it sometimes so you're armoring up for them instead of them doing it by themselves. And it's like almost that they're surrounded in prayer and in a shield of faith and breaking some of those barriers that one person still, I think, has the ability to do, but you have a whole group of people praying and interceding, and sometimes you don't even realize you're in warfare or you need to you're in it. And so you don't see it. And then all of a sudden God puts your name on somebody else's lips or heart and mind. And you just are prayed up and you can feel something shift in the spirit. And so I think that's somewhat of what I recognize as intercession. Do you?
I think that's like a good way of explaining it. I think when people come to you and they're like, it's a very common in the Christian world or the church world to say, I'll pray for you. And then that's the last they'll ever say those words with your name in it. They don't go and actually pray for you. So I think what I like to say is I'm coming into agreement with whatever you're kind of battling with. Like, I'm going to stand next to you, almost you're sitting on the front line and saying, I'm going to come stand with you so you're not alone coming in this, because I do believe the Lord has made it very clear, especially recently, about how important the body works of believers and how we do all have different giftings. And some is the gifting of faith. And that faith can build up your faith when you don't have it. So there's different things like that I do believe that there are some people even more aware of hearing it for other people than they even know. So than other people even know for themselves. So I just think it's a big word that gets thrown around. No, it's not a big word. It's just a word that gets thrown around and no real explanation of it. But I think it's really good to know, because a lot of times God's tapping other people on the shoulder to do this. And they don't really realize that it's a calling in itself to like step up and start praying over. Reading really interesting book. And it's just talking about how we interceding and how we fight our battles with prayer and fasting instead of doing it on our own accord. So I find it very it talked about this kind of concept of making sure what you're doing is, staying with the Lord in it and praying to the Lord about it instead of trying to attack the spirits that are attacking them, or thinking that, you could be puffed up in your own like knowledge or pride and be like, oh, I know how to come at this. Like, we're coming at this. And instead of coming at that, you're just approaching the Lord because he fights our battles.
Yeah.
This is not anything we're talking about today.
But I know, which I love. However,
I realize that right now. I'm like, we have gone on a tangent.
I know, but
that is life.
It is good because, it's funny. I was thinking, oh, that's so funny. Why are we talking about this? But in the end, I remember being woken up in the night, and we're talking about fear of man, pleasing man, how to break some of those vicious cycles that I know I was trapped in, and living deeply in pleasing man versus God. And I would say I was pleasing God, but I was not. I thought I was called to love my neighbor, and I was just pleasing them, being a yes woman.
Yes, girl.
Yeah. And but I remember waking up one of these moments, the Lord woke me up, and he had a kid's name on my heart. And I prayed and I was like, what do you want me to know? And he told me, give this mom a word. And I was like, okay, well, what's the word, Lord? And he was like, get this book, read this book, write it down. And usually the Lord will have me write down a word, and I pray over it. I ask for a verse that like comes to my heart for it. And in that time, in the middle of the night, I asked for all this. I went to my prayer closet because I could not shake it. It was like 3 nights straight of waking me up. And so usually at 3 nights, I'm like, okay, got it. I'm supposed to do this. And so I woke up, and in the journey of pleasing man, one of the biggest things that I had was a spirit of intimidation. And so he woke me up and he said, I need you to give this mom, a word. And it wasn't like encourage you, it wasn't also like, I also find that you have to have affirmation in the word. God is one who always loves, like everything I hear is like, I love you. It's okay. Like, I'm with you. Yes, here's warnings, but I also think it's not a negative. You don't feel negative. You feel like in fear of the Lord. and in awe of his presence, his love that overwhelms you when you receive a word, I believe. And you always should test it. But I had to present it and I was so terrified. And Nick wakes up and he goes, oh my gosh, I had this dream. And the dream was exactly the same with these two people in it, the child and the mother. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I mean, I was so scared of her reaction to where God wanted her to know. And that was one of those moments I was like, why do I care? This should not be. I am so entangled in the fear of what others think than what God thinks, that I'm not even stepping forward in obedience and I am letting the enemy hold me back and her back based on this. And so that's kind of that's why I'm thinking of this. Like, that's where it stemmed from, is like, oh, one of those things. I presented it to her. The response was not good. It wasn't pleasing. It wasn't great. It was actually pushed off. So he took me through some stages, and I kind of want to share some of those stages throughout this, of like how sometimes he'll take you on a journey, and the journey can be long or it can be quick. If you don't necessarily have to worry so much about man, if you're like more worried about like, okay, I just have to tame my tongue. I have to show love instead of just speak, like there's some of those interactions too. But for me, it was like fearful of what they thought. Then in the middle was, all right, I sent you a word. What do you think? What do you think? Does it correlate? Do you understand? And like, it was pushed off with like a distance. And I had to like shed some of that stuff off. Like, I cannot care. The Lord just kept saying and repeating it. Like, who cares?
It's not on you. You're just a voice.
Yeah.
Like the voice of what the Lord wants, the messenger almost.
Yes.
And it's not your word.
It's not my word.
So
and it
like,
was all
but it feels that way when you're
tension.
the one doing it. It doesn't feel.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
It was truly awful. It was the tension that was awful. And then all of a sudden the next phase was, okay, now I'm learning to like send you a word or encourage you or say no. There's just even simply learning to say no. And the response given after could be distance, or it could be you're not invited to the next thing, or it could be these other aspects. And I had to learn to be so confident and secure in what God has told me to do that couldn't care. That couldn't make me worry. That couldn't put anxiety on me. And I was so entangled with pleasing man. And I still have to, it's a trigger. I still have to be wise. I still know my priority. I still have to come to the Lord always and ask him, do you want me to do this? Because I could easily fall into that, because that is easy for me.
Where did that come from? Probably. Do you look back and find like when you accepted that?
When I realized, I think that when our parents got divorced, I instantly jumped into a role I was never meant to carry. And when I carried that role, I felt like there was this gap between us, like my three sisters and me.
Yeah.
And so,
I see that.
And all of a sudden it was like, I couldn't relate. I was protecting, I was parenting, I was in that role. And I didn't relate to dad because I was in a different role.
You were an adult.
I wasn't an adult. Yeah. I was 10. And I clung there to friends. And when I clung there, I also did not want to be abandoned by them. So whatever they said, I would do. Whatever. And I wouldn't say like, I still held my own. Like I didn't, drink in high school. I didn't party. I wasn't really like a kid who disobeyed. I followed the rules for sure. But in the end, I cared what they thought so much that I would never speak my mind. And I just tamed my tongue. I held it in, and it led me to like some really dark stages of as an adult where I couldn't even tell other people because I felt bad if I was hanging out with another group. And I would hang out here, but not here. And these people were invited and they weren't. But I just didn't say anything. So I just didn't say anything. And it got me like in trouble a few times where people were like, why don't you just tell us what's going on? It made me feel like I was lying to them when really I was trying to
protect their heart.
Yeah. So because I didn't want to be abandoned by either of the groups, you know, I wanted to feel like I was accepted and part of something. And so that then when the Lord showed me like, no, I don't need you to do that. I don't need you to run to them. I need you to run to me. In that season of shedding, that was one of the biggest things that I had to shed. And it was a 3-part journey. And it really was hard. It was not easy. It's still hard. Like I will have friends like, oh, come on, let's go out. Da, da, da. And I'm like, no, the Lord told me my priority is my family right now. I have to say no. And that's not easy because selfish Melissa wants to go do those fun things. But reality is that my kids need me right now at night. That's the only time I have with them, you know? And so there's so many things, or the mornings when I want to jump in to go to the gym because all my friends are in the class, there are some mornings I have to be like, no, God's like called me to go run with him or sit with him.
Or go at 5 a.m.
Or go at 5
at a different time to go to my friends.
That's hard.
That's a brutal one too.
That's really hard for me.
Brutal.
I love people. Yeah. I love being like, it was, you know, some of my friendships have been part family, sisters. Like I have extended families in that way. So for pleasing man was huge. And I can honestly say I had a huge spirit of intimidation and a spirit of fear over what people thought, that I had to get it right because that's how love was given, that I felt accepted and worthy when I pleased somebody and they saw that. They felt good.
Made them happy.
I made them happy, but I was miserable.
Yeah.
I was everywhere. I was exhausted. I was running on fumes, and it came to a head with kids. And
always
it does, right?
It's kids, man, they don't care.
Do you find that you have any sense of pleasing man, or have you battled any of that?
This is great. Super opposite.
I know.
Because I just don't care. And I don't mean it in like, I don't care about people or hurting their feelings. Like I do. I have those moments where I'm like, I don't want to say this, but I'm like, well, I got to say it because I do believe my fear of God is bigger. But I do think I was alone more. So you had a lot more spotlight where I didn't have that.
Yeah.
So it kind of allowed me to be okay just saying like, no, I don't want to do that. Or I don't know. I've always been a person that was been okay with just going against the grain.
Yeah.
I've always been. And it's lonely sometimes to do that. So I've been the opposite where I've had to be careful about how I say it, how I go about things, how I go about friendships. I have really deep, small group of friends, and those people know me very well. But I was everyone's friend in school, but I just didn't agree with certain way people went about things. So I said no. So if in order to be like popular, I was like, that ain't for me. Like I just didn't care. Like I could be friends with you. It was not a hate thing. It wasn't, I judged you. I was like, yeah, you do you, but that's just not me.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that. And I just became friends with everybody. I would make sure anyone was never alone at the lunch and come sit with me. And I know the Lord always had put that in my heart to make sure no one was ever alone. And there's people that were popular that were lonely. So I do think me stepping out is not always the most favorable feeling because people don't always like the people who say the things no one wants to hear. But that's not how God's made me to be. Mm-hmm. And I've accepted that. And I've, cried over that because I'm only human, Yeah. I always question sometimes like, why did you make me this way? Mm-hmm. But I am grateful because it saved me a lot from certain things. Like I never drank in high school. I didn't drink till I was 21. Like I just didn't care. No one was going to convince me otherwise. And I think I'm like that type of person with a lot of things. Like you're not going to convince. And I love my child because he is exactly like that. We're working on it because I'm sitting there and we're working with, this behavioral person. and not a lot. We just randomly will see her, and she's been such an encouragement just of seeing him and seeing us and things that she's saying to him. I'm like, man, I wish someone told me that. Like, I wish someone cared enough to be like, this is great. How do we make this great for you for your life instead of hard? And because he doesn't care. He has no fear of man. He is childlike, no fear of man too, where it's nothing. He has no concept of danger or heartache or hurting people. Like he is free for all. I'm obviously not like that, but no one ever helped me mold that ability. So I hurt a lot of people along the way. I hurt myself along the way, not caring so much about what people might feel on how I did it. And the Lord was so kind to shape those things. But I am grateful because I have had tons of friends who are like, I'm like, they want to know what I think or, you know, how they dressed or how they did things. I was just like, what do you like? Why do you care about what I think? I'm not the one wearing it. And I think that was always my mentality. So I did draw people in to me that never were able to just be themselves. And I don't understand it. Like mentally, I don't think I've ever thought about what I just don't, I don't say it. Like, I don't like to say I don't care because it feels like, okay, you're so cool, but it's not that. It's just, I don't have that in my mindset. My mind does not function that way.
Meaning caring what somebody else's
you don't
opinion
like how I look
is. Okay.
Yeah. Like if you don't like how I am, that's okay.
Yeah.
As long as, but I have to, in saying that, I still have to check how I am. Like, I don't want to be bulldozing people or rude to people or, you know, whatever. But all I care about is what God's called me to do. So if he's told me to do those and I hurt people, I always am like, that's between you and Lord. If it's the words of the God that has, you know, you're upset about. And I'm always encouraging people like, you should go pray about that. You know, but often anytime the Lord is giving me things to say, no one's ever like, I don't think I've had anyone ever receive a word I've given them poorly. It might feel weird at first for them to understand it or not fully understand it. But to me, I'm like, I ain't some genie. We ain't new age here. You got to go to the Lord for that. He gave me a word. I don't know the meaning behind it. It's not a therapy session. And I think that's what some of those giftings can be tainted by the like I do believe by the enemy in that way and make you start fearing like, oh, I'm too much. Like those are my things like, oh, I've been too much. Oh, I did this. And, you know, maybe I come in too harshly or this, but it's often I actually don't. And I have to remind myself, like, stop being so critical of yourself. I think everyone struggles with fear of man in some way. Yeah. But I do not struggle it the same way most people do. So like when I was thinking about this, it was a little like, I felt like almost out of body of like, I have so many people in my life that this is their thing. I have a lot of things, but this isn't my thing. That's that's in my mind most of the time. Most of the time it's me just making sure I'm doing good for God, that I'm enough for God, not enough for people. But that's not even how he wants me to be either. Yeah. Like it's not a good thing. That's my problem is like, I fear the Lord, but I also fear sometimes in a more of like a, that he would punish me. Not now, but I'm saying that like over the years, that was my problem. Like, am I doing this right, Lord? Yeah. I'm so sorry I failed you. Yeah. Where I could disappoint a person and I would feel so bad if it was something that was wrong and I would apologize. But if it's not something that I would regret, I usually am like, maybe that's something you have to look into. And I'm not going around like hurting people, but it's just more of like when those situations come up, I will just try to be in the most loving way. No, I can't do that because right now this is where God's calling me. Yeah. And I can't care about how they react in terms of if they're disappointed because I can't be everything for them. Because I just can't. Yeah. No human could be everything for anybody. And you're trying to fill those voids in some people that you were never meant to fill. Yeah. So I think I just try to take everything that way. But I know that we're different in this. Yeah. But I do think it has a lot to do with I don't know. I didn't even really fear Dad.
Well,
with like caring about how he would.
I did.
I cared about disappointing him with reputation.
Yeah.
But I didn't care about what people actually thought of us. I just was like,
I did.
If you care so much about the way I look, I'll just make sure I look good so I don't care. And that's where I get in trouble.
Yes.
Because there's things I just go, I don't really care enough about that. So sure, whatever you want. And that's not.
You don't put value on that. So to you, it's not worth your time or energy.
And so with people like roommates, whatever you want.
Yeah.
But that's still a problem.
Right.
Just because I don't really always have an opinion. Maybe I do. But I'm just like, it's not really worth it fighting somebody. Just let you like
just
have
do
it.
whatever
just
you
have
think.
it.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah.
But like I said this to you the other day, I was like, I had this fear of sharing stuff with you, but it's not you. It's that.
Yeah.
That you care
it's your
more.
battle.
That you're like an 8 on caring and I'm like a 4 on this one topic.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want, Melissa.
Yeah.
And the Lord's like, no, Chelsea.
Yeah.
And I had to share that with you. It has nothing, this is not anything between us. This was like something we were going to do with whatever.
A decision we had
to make. And I just was like, Melissa, run with it. And that's my problem with like not caring. Like that's still fear of man. And like when I researched like more into it, like in my heart too, I'm like, that's still giving someone something if the Lord still is saying no to it. You know what I mean? Like if the Lord's telling me, so you got to stop like thinking you're going to hurt her by just sharing your heart.
With something
like,
was so like
not even
simple.
a heart. It's not even emotional.
Yeah.
It wasn't even, there was no emotions behind it. But
None.
to me, it's like, I just never want to disappoint people when I know they're so excited about something. And I'm like, okay, you be excited. I don't care.
Yes.
You go for it.
So I think that it's interesting because I basically married you.
I know. And I know I married you.
Yeah. And
where's the camera? Where's this little camera?
In so many ways, like, you know, Nick's family were a bunch of New Yorkers, spoke their minds, could care less about hurting others' feelings, just said it.
That's why we got along so well.
I know. You just
like
state what you think because they're truth tellers. And so there's this connection of safety that I know for myself is I don't trust people. Well, I shouldn't say I do now, but like before I don't trust you.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you've broken that safety barrier I had. And with Nick and with you, I feel so safe because I know A, you're going to tell me exactly what is on your heart. B, you're also loyal, deeply loyal. And so Nick will cover anybody he loves and will fight to the end. And I appreciate that because I feel the same way. So there's that sense of safety when you're a people pleaser, prior people pleaser. Now I'm free of that.
Recovering.
Recovering. So there's that aspect. But what I noticed is learning how to, because forever I'm like, Nick, you cannot say it like that. You have to be, why did you just say it like that? Like that hurts people's feelings. So I can feel the response of somebody's heart. And he is like, I'm just speaking the truth. And I'd rather speak the truth than receive the response and care because they need to hear the truth. And I'm like, you need to do it in love.
Yes.
And he's like, this is me loving. And I'm like, no, we had to learn. And he's gone through that journey. Like his journey is learning to like only speak what the Father says or only to say it in the way that the Father would speak it. There's a difference in that approach because then somebody has the ability to hear what you're trying to share with them versus the approach of, okay, that's a lot. That's heavy. This is a trigger. I'm guarded. I don't hear anything you're saying because it's so heavy. And
it's
my
judgment.
And it's judgment.
It comes off judgment instead of word.
Right. Or shame. Yes, exactly. So then I take the approach of feeling that. And I'm like, okay, it's okay. We're good. You're okay. We're great. Ha, we're all good here. And that did not sit well with Nick. He would be like, why do you do that? It bothers me that you are not speaking your mind and you know that's the truth. You're covering it. And
you're not really supporting him in trusting what if the Lord gave him a word to say like that. You're just trying to make people feel better.
I'm making people soften to the blow.
Yeah.
And the blow was truth.
I mean, there's
a
there's
balance.
extreme on both of
Yes.
them. And it's very important to find a nice little place. Like,
And
I know Nick and I love Nick.
Yes.
And, but we do have very, like, we're pretty much the same person when it comes to that. But he's got a different story. So I'll give him that. Like, we're not the same person. And we're different ages, different genders. There's different ways that we've had to go about, like, the jobs we've had, things like that. So I've had to learn as a woman, I get usually called the B word for being direct.
Why is that?
Funny. That could be a whole entire
let's
thing.
go there.
Because it really does. It is really hard to say something that if a guy said it, it'd be totally okay.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, are you like, is it time of the month? Or like, you're maybe like, oh, you know, or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think I said anything harsh at all. It was just direct.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and I have to remember too, now I realize this, but there's a lot of people's upbringings and how they have, like, maybe they had a strong dad that would be like, no woman's ever, like, if they talk, you know, and that's the words they heard, you know, the death is spoken over that. I want to give like grace to understand there's probably things people are still blinded to. But it's always been really hard for me because that has made me then the most frustrating part of how God created me. And not that I know he made me to be a woman, but it's like hard for me because I know there's things I would have never had to deal with if I was a man doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. But I also get grace because I can bring a softness and it's not directed the opposite way.
Right.
Where like a guy would be like, oh, you're like, or something like, why can't you like cry or be a moment with somebody and have that, like, I get grace to have both in that way, but not grace really on the other way.
Yeah.
So I had to learn really quick how to honestly, and this is part of fear of man, is like learning how to say it in a certain way that people could take it, even if it's not exactly the way that was intended, that needed to be said, just to make everyone happy. You know, with me. And at times I've had jobs where people, mostly it was guys that didn't like me, that worked under me. And every single one of them, if I ever had a problem, was a guy. And sometimes I addressed it immediately and been like, what's your problem, but like, why you have a problem with me? Mm-hmm. And a lot of the things, it's still down to, you know, the core of issues that I will never fully know, or things that they've walked through and the way, you know, whatever. Or that's not the mom they had. Mm-hmm. So you're mean because you're being direct. I had a soft mom lets me do whatever I want, that says I'm great. So this has been a battle for me with how I approach people. And I know it's been a battle for Nick too, but there's probably a lot of things Nick can get away with to the extent.
Yeah.
But that's I don't like look in that and be mad. Like, I'm mad that that's how it is. I just have to, like, there's a reason why God made me this way. And there's a reason why he made me exactly who I am. Right. To do what I'm called to do. And then there's different for Nick. But you have to learn to, even with it, I will never get to the excuse of being, well, this is who I am. You got to just take it or leave it. No. And that's what a lot of people in the world do. And that's not what I'm saying when I say I don't care about, like, I do care what people feel, and I don't ever want to hurt them in my actions. And I don't believe now at this point I do that often. If I do, I will apologize like immediately, because that wasn't my intention, but it doesn't make it okay if I hurt somebody. But I do realize the Lord is really gracious to also tell me backstory of things of people. When I'm like, I feel a tension with somebody and I'm like, why are they reacting this way to me? And sometimes these are straight believers. Oh, yeah. Like, they're not just all unbelievers. Like, I have this one person, Lord has like really revealed what is kind of like the problem. And I just know I can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And that's really hard because they just don't like me. And it's not because I've done anything to them, or I've barely known them long, but it's happened a couple of times with people where I already know they don't like me. And no matter what I do, it's like, not gonna be good enough. If I'm nice, they take it as like disingenuine. I'm like, no, that's just me being me. Like you're, but there's something, and like the Lord's kind of like shown me more of a spiritual, like there's a spirit there.
Yeah.
It's not this
It's
person.
not flesh.
It's not,
It's a spirit.
It's a spirit that you're dealing with, that they're coming to agreement with something in their life that you're triggering, like the spirit to be like, I don't like her, like, and try to shut me down in certain things that God's telling me to do. So there is battles of fear that I have moments where I'm like, why did you like me? I didn't do anything to you.
Yeah.
And like, I don't understand. I have been nothing
Being
but
misunderstood is probably the hardest thing.
Yeah.
I just hate that.
That's like one of the most, I
being
think
misunderstood is not fun.
as like, I think that could probably be human race feeling. Because that's really what it comes down to, all these most issues is the assumption of and being misunderstood as. Like, I know even as simple as my little kid doing it and being mad that I didn't do that. I didn't feel it. That's not my thing. And I'm like, I get you just want to prove that, like, you want someone to just see you and be like, no, I understood what you were trying to do there.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yep.
Or how I know the Lord's taught me to step back from people to understand, like, see it differently.
Yes.
Like, that's something I remember in college he started doing, where he's like, stop, like, in your emotions, step away from the emotions and literally look at this situation from all directions. Okay, I can see that this has happened. I can see that they're clearly upset about this. So that must be a pain. There's probably pain under their insecurity. And like, it's not going to help them by kind of meeting them where they're meeting me.
Yeah.
And so I think that has been a good thing of having the personality of not, I don't need her to like me. And that's okay. Some people are not all going to like you.
Yeah, right.
I don't have to be whatever. But I know that the Lord has been gentle for a reason in that. And I don't know why yet. But I know he's been like, you're going to stay here. Can't leave. Sorry, sister. You're going to have to just keep on showing that you're not like who they think you are, just by being who you are.
Yeah. By building trust in a different way.
Yeah. Like just,
Yeah.
It's like the weirdest feeling to just be like, I don't know why you don't like me. But I also realize that people have their preconceived life that when they meet certain personalities, it can throw them off, or they immediately are like, well, this is what they're trying to do. And with bigger personalities, that could be the thing.
That's really,
I don't blend well.
that makes my heart sad.
It's hard.
That makes my heart sad.
Well, it's probably also like, I'm not assuming Nick feels this way, but I'm sure Nick has had that happen a lot.
Oh, he definitely has. And I think he handles it in a different way, like having a male approach. It used to be based on sarcasm. So that was his guard, his protection is having this sarcastic response, and he's quick-witted. So are you. It's like together, let's cover it with humor.
Or cut someone down when you're angry.
Or cut someone down when you're like, yeah, very funny, you know? And I'm like, stop, you know?
No, and it's not funny. You're like, don't oh my gosh. See, I can't do that.
And so, those are the things though, the Lord has taken him out of and put a light on. And he realized that sarcasm was an evil spirit, and he had to literally remove it. And that was not easy because that was his self-defense. And so he's had to learn how to take that out and then be so slow to hear and quick to like just listen to what God has over this person. So just like you said, taking a step out, seeing the person as God sees this person. And what do you want me to know about them? What do you want me to do with this? You know, and speaking only what he has. And he's like, this is a daily habit. It is very hard for him to be slow to speak and just listen to the heart of this person, because he sees the truth in a lot of them, you know, like he has high discernment too. So he sees the truth in it. So he wants to speak the truth then back out. But then he's also learned how, as he's taken a step, it's a safety step. It's almost like the Lord's also guarding his heart so he doesn't have to feel unsafe. And he has the ability just to speak kind words, loving words, like truth, but in love, so that it actually penetrates to the heart of what he was trying to say, just saying it. So but that journey has been a year for him of daily.
But I see it.
I know. I do too. There's so many responses I'm like waiting for him to say, because my feeling is that this is how he's going to respond. He wasn't really like that with me very much. He was very protective of that. But
because you were safe.
Because I was safe. But everyone else, it was like, you never know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you are my, and you see that God has put this one person and this one person together to blend in. And I'm learning how to break off pleasing man. And he's learning how to break off his tongue and love in that way instead. And I'm turning out to say no and learn to love by my no. And that's interesting. That itself is like, okay, we're still in this, every day. It could be something. It could be how we are speaking to our kids, or how we're speaking to each other, or how we're speaking in general to the wider population of friendships that we have,
Yeah. Because there's some people that, it is hard. It is hard. And like, it's funny because I married someone who probably cares even less about certain things, which is kind of funny, but I know his heart's so big for the people that are close to us, specifically family and our children. Like he will be like, okay, kind of thing before I would. I'm like, no, they don't like that. They're like, don't, whatever. And it teaches me like, this vulnerability and softness with certain things that it doesn't have to be a certain way. That's what we're working with Beckham on. It doesn't have to be the triangle that goes on the perfect triangle. It could just be silly and be a square.
But I do think in that way, just like what you're doing with Beckham is what we've been doing with our kids is like, okay, you have this gift.
Yeah.
How can we use this gift to glorify the Lord? And it's retraining that process that we were never given those tools for. I was given, you have to be this. This is the look. This is the act. You need to obey. Don't embarrass me. The reputation is this. I remember grandma saying this to us, like, anywhere you go, someone will know you. So you better be honoring to the Lord. Do I see that as true? Yes, but it didn't have to be this manipulation tactic that was based around people pleasing man.
It's the way you actually looked, not how God wanted you to be loving to people.
Yes.
It was based off of, you better look good and not look like a hot mess, or be overweight, or be this or be that. You better look like put together, or because people basically know me, like them, and then you're going to embarrass me by looking like a slob, because then I look like a slob. Where and this is what the Lord's been really big about showing me in some other project I'm doing, but it's like showing how much people use the word of the Lord, his word, and just skew it to whatever they're like. That's why it's so easy how you can pivot so off. Yes, like you just said, yeah, you're an example of Jesus everywhere you go. But they weren't saying it like that. They were saying like, you better look good, because it makes me, if you don't look like a good Christian girl, I look like I raised a heathen, and that's literally I don't know why we were able to decipher that though, even at a young age. That like mentality. I remember going to church with grandma one day, and she was speaking poorly about somebody. And I remember, I don't know why I called her out. I was like 10. I called her out. I was like, well, why that? Isn't it Jesus say this? And she was like so mad at me because and it's something that reminds me of my dad did that all the time. If you called him out and he knew you were right, he didn't like being called out, he would make sure it would be like punish you for saying it.
Oh yeah.
But I remember her response of being like, well, the Lord says this and that. And I'm like, but is that what it really means about unequally yoked? That was one of them. Because I'm like, I think it's more like if you love Jesus or if you don't love Jesus.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, it's some other thing. And I was like, I'm not going to mention on here because that's the other thing. But it was interesting that the Lord has always that gifting starts at such a young age to do it. But you're also you have to, like, I just have a lot of grace and love, even looking back at those situations, that lie was something that they lived on.
Yeah, they did.
And we're broken free.
Yes, we are.
Like, we are broken free. And that's such a great gift for our children.
Yep.
But I'm even mindful of protecting my child from ever being like misunderstood. And I know that is a mistrust. Like, I know where I stand. Someone makes a comment about me. Yeah, it can hurt. I'm just a little girl. But it could hurt, but I also can fall back on my identity insurance.
Yeah.
But like, knowing my little boy's heart going out there, just love him. Don't hurt him.
Yeah.
No bullies. Come on.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to conform in any way of outside of who he was made to be.
Yeah.
Because he's just like vibrant, and people like the school now, like the kids love him. Aww. And it makes my heart happy because it's an answered prayer. It's an answered prayer, but I've always seen that heart. Mm-hmm. He just loves people so much. And I know God's going to use that, but I'm so scared of, like, if I'm honest, him having to continue walking through life knowing that he's going to be met with people who hate him.
Yeah. And
people who don't like him being nice to them, or their own pain, or never being told, those things. And I have to just trust the Lord that it's not on me, but I do have like fear of man in that way, that regard too.
Oh, totally.
Like, it's not even just about me, because I'm just like, whatever, I don't care. Like, you know that, like, the joke, like, you think you can hurt me? It's like, you have no idea what I've been through. You can't hurt me, kind of thing. But that's not true. But in the end of the day, I know God's made me to be a certain way, to see him, to not protect him, but just mold him. Mm-hmm. And when things approach, I can actually show him how to walk through it, instead of being like, okay, well then change, or get off the couch, or go do that, or people aren't going to like you. Yeah. Like, change to other people. And it's not just our parents, it was society.
Yes.
It's everything around us telling us to be a certain way. And the minute you go the wrong way, the minute you say, I don't like Taylor Swift's music, they will roast you.
Yeah.
They will literally put you on it's like no one's allowed to just say they don't want to do something.
Yeah.
And I find it so refreshing that God's allowed these friends in my life that we can disagree about some things, and we still love each other. Yeah. Like, it's okay to be like, I don't have to be afraid to be like, I disagree with you. Yeah. We could have a conversation and know each other's hearts and it be left, but our society does not approve. Yeah. You have to fall into the stream, and you cannot be a little salmon going the wrong way. Mm-hmm. You have to go in the stream, or you're going to get called out, persecuted. And to an extent we will be. So it's like, how do you find the comfort in that?
No, it's interesting. So, like, with my kids, I was so aware that I did not want them to be like me in pleasing man, and also be that trusted, honest truth teller that Nick is. So, like, when we were parenting, Aiden is one of the ones that is, you always have that one in your family. The other two are really good at just like, okay, listen and obey. At home, it might be a struggle, but outside to the world, they're great. They're always been perfect. They listen, they obey. It's great. Aiden's not that kid. He is fun and exciting. He beats his own drum. He's creative. He's going to be unbelievably successful in anything God has for him. I see it now. He makes great friendships. He draws people in, but he is the one that I have heard numerous people say, oh, Aiden did this, or oh, Aiden did that, or parents or kids or this or that. And I can see that he also, though, is honest, and he is a truth teller. He's like, no, that's because you did this. Like, and he just says it, and he has a great memory, which you and Nick have great memories, they remember
Nick
the facts.
People's names from like 10 years ago.
It's crazy. They're
that we met one time ever.
Yeah.
But he's great to go to when you're like, what's that person's name?
Yes. Nick remembers the details, but so does Aiden. And so what I've learned to do with him is say, you are these things that God has called you to. You are a warrior. You are a son of the king. You are a truth teller. You are built in confidence. You are honoring.
He has such a big heart.
He's the greatest heart. He's
sweet
loving.
to Beckham.
He's so sweet. He's
like,
great.
So they all are, but there's a difference with like how he's just, you would expect him, like a kid his age, to kind of be like, say it and then kind of have moments of like, okay, you're being annoying, get away, because they are a age gap, obviously a huge one. But he's just always like, I just enjoy Beckham. And I'm like, it's because you're kindred spirits. Because that's the same way Beckham is, like, even though he's intense, his heart is huge.
Huge. But what I've noticed in that is every single time I hear that, the response then is to him, you know, that's not who you are. You know, that's not who God called you. What did God call you to? What did God say you are? And he would repeat, I'm a warrior. I'm a son of a king. And when you start declaring those things, it doesn't matter. Yes, those words, they're death.
They hurt.
But when you have the shield of that faith, knowing who you are, that's the reverse. And now it's like learning to teach him to tame, like not tame his tongue in everything, but in moments, tame your tongue. Keep that opinion, that judgment, either to yourself, unless the Lord has said, speak this, but speak it in love. And it's just that shift, just like you said, that little pivot of saying, okay, but here's how we're going to do it. Here's how we're going to approach it. Here's how I'm teaching it. Because I don't want you to be like me and please man and have to be this person because every other kid is this person. I don't care that I actually love that you're not like every other kid.
Yeah.
You're not called to be like everyone else. You're called higher. You're called to be different. So God has you on a different trajectory, and I'm moving with you on this. You know, I will go with you, but here's how we can do this in love. And it goes back to that. That's what I've learned in my story is, even though I was looking for love from my parents, their responses when I spoke my truth was met with like just complete shutdown, where Dad would ignore me and not talk to me if he didn't like my response or how I said something. He would literally just not talk to me. Yeah. And I would be like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Like
Forgive
beg him
me.
to love you again.
Forgive me. I'm so sorry. And he would make it that way for a day or two. And then I finally would get okay, it's fine.
You never did that to me.
Oh, it was
I would
awful.
have loved that.
No, it's awful. Because now you're begging for people to accept
I'm saying
you.
more of like, I didn't get that version. I didn't get him to be quiet to me.
That's true. Yes. Yes.
Even more.
It was either whip or complete
true.
silence.
Yeah.
And the silence was death to me compared to the whip. Give me the brutal beating, fine. Give me the silence, then I feel complete rejection.
This makes so much sense about retreat.
Oh, totally. It's like,
I was loving it.
Hating silence. I hate silence, but I've learned to love that because now I've realized is that if you are going to give me space, and I don't have to like come please you, I can choose to no, and that's okay. If I'm going to be shunned and like, oh, well, everyone else is hanging out with somebody and you're not invited, that's okay too. Like I've learned that the silence is okay. It's not rejection. It's God is calling me to something else in that time. He's using that time for something more important in the long run than in this moment where you just have fun and everything's light and service.
He's having a moment for those people that you're not a part of.
Yep.
And I think that is such a big reality for people is people take everything so personally. And sometimes it is. Yeah. Like I don't want to say every single time it is that, but like I have different friendships and sometimes I want to spend time connecting one way and sometimes connecting others. Yeah. I have does not mean I feel like, but I understand I have friends that basically would get upset and I'm like, but that's not what we're like. I know you don't like doing this and that's what we were doing. So it was more of caring about you, knowing that I didn't want you to feel not included because you weren't going to do it. You know, like I wanted to go on a hike and so 3 of us went. And if 2 of you are like, I hate outdoors, I'm not going to invite you to go.
Yeah.
But I used to go out of my way to be like, we're going to go do this, but I don't want you to. And the Lord's like, stop doing that. Yeah. Stop trying to make sure they receive it well. Doing something that it's not about you. You're not being mean. You're not being rude. And I'm not saying that specific thing, but there's times where I'm like checking to make sure, like writing a paragraph to explain myself so that they knew my no meant because I needed to go do this and this and this. And Lord's just like, say no.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Send. And I'm like, oh, like that's where it's hard because it got to a place in my adult life where I just didn't want to hurt people. And I went too extreme on making sure I didn't hurt people than before where I was hurting people because I was too direct. I never was like, no, I can't go, but as a person, but yeah, I got to a point where the Lord really refined friendships and he said, it's okay to just say no. And if they respond, it's because I'm working in them and a totally different thing. And some of those friendships have grown even deeper, like down the road after seasons of not because of anger of how I wasn't there for them all the time like I used to be.
Right.
And and it wasn't just kids. It was literally sometimes Lord saying, you need to take a step back because I need to do work and you're trying to save them and they're not seeing me because they're seeing you.
Yeah.
And so there is times like that where people might, like you said, the word you're giving might not be received well, but I have to know that God is bigger and that whatever he's doing, he knows everything. He knows that 360 around. I'm only getting one viewpoint. So me being like, they're going to take this wrong. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's more of them realizing that they had to go through the season to be a better friend for everyone around them, or realize they don't need to hang so much on their friendships based off of like what you just said, like, oh, I'm not included. Like, why don't, kind of feeling of, or if I say no, they're never going to invite me again. Like there's always these like things.
Do you think, I'm going to say this, might be a serious topic, but do you think that FOMO is this evil spirit?
I think it's right under this. So yeah, I don't know if I think it's still a fear-based thing.
Right.
I mean, fear of missing out. So I think it's a fear-based thing because of this exact topic.
And God's not a God of fear.
No.
So we're declaring, oh, I have FOMO. Does that...
You're speaking over your life.
This over your life.
Well, you notice the more you say things like that, the more you're aware of missing out, and it becomes more of like, why are they not inviting me? And why am I not this? Or if I say no, and it's you're functioning in fear instead of peace, where I know I'm not like, they're going to invite me again. And if they don't, it's okay. That's how I think.
Yeah.
But I'll go right to bed.
Right.
You want to hang out at 10 p.m.? That's crazy talk. I'm in bed. I'm sleeping. But the Lord also challenged me sometimes to not be in my comfort and say, yo, you need to go spend time with this person because I need you to be useful to me, or they need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Just be there. You can't get too caught up in like either
your
or.
comfort.
Your comforts of it. You have to be. And that's and I know we haven't even like got into any of the topics of like actual like things, but one of the things that's so important is you're fearing not men, you're fearing the Lord. And it's a reverence of and a respect. It's not like I said before, where you're gonna punish me, you're just mad at me. And that might be the same tactic of like how dad was kind of thing. That's not the fear when we talk about fear of the Lord. But that's the opposite. You're not if you fear man, you're not fearing God. And so it's really important to shift of understanding what the fear of the Lord is, so that you can also recognize how much of fear of man. It's not just like, oh, they're not going to like me because I didn't wear that, or I didn't say what I want. This is so there. The more I thought of it, I'm like, oh, that's under that. And so the FOMO thing is like a big umbrella of all this stuff too.
Yeah. So what is the fear of man or fear of God to you? How would you describe that?
For me, well, I'll tell you, this morning I was praying, and I don't know why the last couple of months, often when I pray, I just cry because I just feel such this presence of awe, like
glory.
So good. And I just cry because I just know like he loves me and I get to be in his presence. And that's such a gift. but I never want to lose it. And it's not losing it, like you said, like losing the conversation with the Lord. Like, oh, he's going to stop talking to me, be passive aggressive and not speak to me as a tactic. It's like, I don't want anything. I don't want to do anything that doesn't honor you. I don't want anything in my life to not be something you call me to. I'm surrendered. It's being surrendered to and abiding in him in this, saying, I want everything of you. I want everything you want from me. That's how I feel. And so I do feel it's hard because as a human, fear is scary. Like fear is afraid. Fear, like those are things when you think of another word for it. But I think the fear of the Lord is respecting him for who he is. He is God, period. He is magnificent. He's sovereign. He is not equal to anything. There's nothing equal. He's just this force but he loves us and he wants to hear from us. And we get to have that relationship. I never want to lose that. I never want to ever do anything to ever hurt that. Like that's like having, when you meet your husband and you start realizing like this person that's I want to stay around. And I trust them.
Yeah.
And then you start trusting them and opening up and getting deeper and you get engaged because you want to get married and you're like, I want to do nothing to ever hurt this person. I don't want to lose it. Like I never want you can't die before me, that kind of thing. I used to always say that. Like, and it's like, it's because you love them and it's safe and you trust them and you respect them. And you don't ever want to lose them. It's even more for how I feel like the Lord. Like I don't care about what anyone else feels as long as he's happy with me. Mm-hmm. If he's good with like if I'm honoring, if I'm respecting, if I'm obeying him. Now all those words, all that sounded when I was a kid like obligation and legalistic and getting it right.
Judgment.
But I've learned it's free. It's a release. It's like I just get to sit with him and cry. Like I've never done that. And I've just, every time I'm like, I'm like, I hope it's okay, Lord, that I just cry with you every day. Like it's just, because it's not like a sad cry. It's just like
joy,
this overwhelming feeling of like, so overwhelmed by you. And that's how I feel like my relationship with the Lord now and how I fear him.
And in those moments, the last thing you care about is what anyone else is doing, thinking, or saying.
Yeah.
You just want to be in the presence. You don't care. You just want to be in that glory. There's like glory that comes over you. And you just, sit there. I had this vision the other day of the Lord. I think I shared it last episode, but we were sitting under an oak tree and he was sitting there and he had me underneath his right arm. And I just sat there and we just sat. And it sounds silly to like, those who've never experienced it. But when you experience something like that, it does not matter what anyone else thinks. Time stood still.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just were in the presence of safety, trust, awe, glory. Like you didn't care. You're just in the presence of your Father that loves you no matter what. There's no shame. There's no judgment. There's nothing but mercy. And I think that is completely different feeling than the fear of man.
Yeah.
Because if
anxiety, stress.
Yes. Because if I was thinking through the fear of man, which becomes a God, that was replacing my God, right? People were replacing what God's thoughts were.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for the wisdom of man and he was like, I am not the same. That's not who I am. My wisdom looks very different. It is going against the grain. It is looking odd. If everyone's doing this over here, 9 times out of 10, it's probably not from me because that 1 or 2 over here, those are the ones I've called. Those are the ones who are abiding in me. Those are the ones that are sitting at my feet and resting in my presence. Those are the ones I'm calling you to be like. And in those moments, I thought, oh my gosh, like that right there, there's a difference. I cared so much that my heart was constantly racing. My thoughts were always on people. My my emotions, I don't even know if I knew what those were feeling because they were everywhere. Like happy, so happy and hyped and felt so loved in moments to like complete, utter, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And really, what am I sorry about? Because I couldn't go because I had 5 other things I said yes to, like those are the things too that I don't miss. And high school Melissa was that. College Melissa was starting to come out a little bit. I was starting to find myself, but it really wasn't until married and having kids where I couldn't because it was not feasible to do it. I tried in the beginning and there were moments I still, look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, my whole priority was myself. I'd drag my kids to something or I'd leave them at home so I could go do this, that, and the other. Like that stunk. But in the end, it's one of those things that I realized the Lord had to take me away to then reveal. And in the hiddenness, he revealed how much of chains they were on me because of my fear of man.
So heavy. They're so heavy. It's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I just think of, like you said, how, the difference of feeling and like being held to holding yourself up. Because that's what it feels like. You're just trying to make sure you're good. You are liked and God's already said you are. And it's funny because it's always people that I'm like, why do you care about why those people, why them? Why do you care so much what those people think? Like everyone has their own things that they've gone through. So if they're functioning in that, I think that's where my disconnect of being like, where's the hierarchy of like, I don't like, why do they get to be the one that makes anybody feel a certain way? And I know it's not them. And that's what I've like learned. It's not them. It's, that's how the darkness works is it wants to plant lies and speak against you and make you function in exhaustion to a point where you're burnt out and you lash out with your children or the worst, sometimes even that you let them walk all over you because you don't want them to not like you.
Oh, that's good.
And then those kids go and grow up and they go out into the world and then we just add more of people who can almost abuse people. I'm not saying those kids are like bad people, but they weren't raised to know what is right and wrong and how to treat somebody and respect people and have a common sense of caring about how it does make you feel as a person, compassion.
Yeah.
And I've had more compassion, being married and having seen, a different outtake of someone being raised. I think that's always interesting about marriage is you're marrying into a completely different way of thought and function and whatnot. And to me, it's easier to be like, well, why would you do that? Or why do you think that? Or how is that helpful? How is that going to teach them how to know, that it's not all about them or this or that. And I think the Lord just was so gentle to be like, this is just a taste of, what I'm seeing every day, people misunderstanding what my word says to give them this. Like give them what they want and what their needs are and making sure everyone's happy or whatever. It breaks my heart because it's so messy. It just feels heavy. It feels like judgmental. There's more, it's like you don't think anyone comes out of that and thinks they're a happier person because they made sure everyone was happy except themselves. And I think for me, I could do that in my family. I could understand the limit of the outside, but I'm not a better mom if I'm making sure everyone's good and I'm not. And I'm not saying that in like a selfish, like you need to be selfish sometimes, but God says to rest. God says to not worry and not do all this stuff. And I'm sitting there worrying and orchestrating, striving and doing all this stuff to make sure everyone's needs are met. They have everything they could ever need in terms of the food's in the fridge and this is that, and their bathrooms are clean. And it's like, no, they they could also step up and help and be a part of it. And that's teaching them to be better. That's not loving them. But that's how, for me, I wanted to love, because I knew I'm gifted and I could do it better than them. But I'm making them happy. And I know after, some time, I learned that no one was happy. They're little kids. So they didn't have a say on they didn't understand, but I wasn't making an environment for that, even though it's the same problem of making sure they loved me, like my kids who don't even understand how to not function. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't know how to not love their parent. It's usually the opposite of, sometimes parents have been hurt, then they don't know how to love their own kid.
That's what I was going to say. It's like they function out of the wounds of their childhood.
Yes.
And when I was a sleep consultant, I saw that all the time, where when you were a child, you were fearful of the dark, but really the environment wasn't safe. Yes. Right. And so you felt that fear. The moment you start having kids and they start trying to climb into your room, or they start crying in their room because they're scared of the dark, which those words are triggers, it brings you back to, oh my gosh, I remember that. Okay, just come into my bed. And that protection mode comes into play. And really, truthfully, it's because that they were functioning out of their wound, not because there's really something in the room, right? Or maybe there was something that you needed to pray off, or maybe there was something that that was deeper, that the Lord was using that situation to show your family something else that they
show
needed.
Your fear.
And show your fear, right? Where did it stem from? Why is that a trigger for you?
They could come to me, or I couldn't go to my parents. They say it's all in your head, and you go back and you cry because you were terrified. I never want to do that to them, or not believe them, or all this stuff. And that's still, even though they're little men or little girls, that's still fear of man.
Yes.
That's still saying anything that you don't trust God and go to him for his direction, I feel like falls under the umbrella of fear of man. When you start functioning, you either function in God or you don't. And the don't is man, because that's all that there is. That's all that's left. So anytime that it's again,
that's good.
I think that's kind of when it came down to is, I cannot say I don't have fear of man at times, because there's plenty of things that I've on my own accord had gone down. Even if it's fear of a bad outcome, that's still under the fear of man and not trusting the Lord is who he is. He is God, he's provider, he's Jehovah Jireh, things like that. It still falls into a lap. And that's why I think fear is the umbrella of all this stuff, whether it be FOMO or man or that. And it just, anything that's a different God, a different thing that's taking your attention, your heart away, and it's all opposite of him. Like you said, the feelings. Yeah.
So, okay, there comes to a moment where you feel a trigger. How do you respond? How has God equipped you to respond for you in moments where, let's say, a few weeks ago.
I have a perfect example.
A few weeks ago, we had Jada on, and it went pretty viral and a lot of comments. I didn't see some of them, but
you don't need to.
And you don't need to. So we just pass on, because we know we were called to do this.
Yeah.
But for you specifically, that was a trigger. And there was these comments that were made. What was your response, and how do you guard yourself and shield yourself for the future?
Yeah. Perfect example. So I think my initial response was, it almost felt a little different than usual, where I would have just allowed it to flood immediately in and be like, man, and question this and be upset. Like, why, man, I whatever. And then I just took a step back at first, and I was still upset about it and being like, why? Okay, here's constructiveness out of it. That I can find something out of this and use it for good. Okay, I got to be more mindful about, my excitement and talking to somebody. I'm going to apologize to Jada and make sure she's okay, because that's all that matters is the person that I was with. As long as she's okay, who cares if someone misunderstood what we were doing here? I'm not putting a camera to somebody and letting them just it's a conversation.
Yes, it's a conversation.
But
and she was great.
And she's great.
She was like, I loved our conversation.
I texted her, and I was like, I'm so sorry if I made you feel this way. She's like, are you kidding me? It's a podcast. We're talking. She goes, I loved it. And that's all it matters. And I go, okay. Lord was like, that's all that matters. Is that Jada is okay. Like, you knew she was. Because we talked so much after. And it was such a good conversation. She's what God is doing in her life. But he had to like bring me down back to earth with him and be like, just go in the closet and let's talk. And screamed out a little bit. And I was like, I'm so tired of this. Why is this the thing?
Did you cry?
Oh, yeah. I cried. I was angry. It was like a really weird, but it was with the Lord. I felt safe. I said, put screens up in here. Let me just release in safety with you. And I did. I released it. And he was so good to be like, remember who I said you were. I never said you're going to be liked. I'm sorry. I like you, but they didn't like me. So why do you think and I was perfect. You're not perfect. And you think they're going to like you? They ain't, because you're speaking truth. And most of the time when I get this same word spoken over me, it's often after I'm talking about Jesus and truth that somebody speaks this over me.
Yeah. And
it just reminded me of like, okay, boundaries. Like I need to set boundaries just like I would of the person with my heart with the stuff. So I will not be looking at any comments. My husband still looks at them and that's okay.
But comment some love for Chelsea because she is amazing at this.
But it's like, I immediately felt misunderstood.
Yeah.
I felt like that wasn't my heart. All these things, and it made me doubt myself. And the Lord was so good to be like, bring me back into his presence and just be like, yeah, get it out, girl. Yeah, get it out. Okay, we done? I love you. That's all that matters. I love you. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks. You literally did anything I wanted you to do, and I'm proud of you. And I'm like, okay. And I don't know why I walked out of there and I was like, I'm good. I'm done. I don't need this. Jada texted me back. I got comfort. She said something. I literally was just reading the word of the Lord that she didn't know. And it was just a reminder that he's like, I got you on all the points that I need you to be like your foundation. You are stepping out. And he also, this is identity, purpose, all the things we've been talking about. But he's like, you're stepping out, but you have to step out knowing I fight your battles and it is not on you. And you just let it be on you right there where you thought it was, I made you.
Yeah.
You're not a surprise to me. Like not in any aspect of you is a surprise. If anything, it's like the words the Lord has given me is like, I need you to be bold because we don't live in worlds that people are bold enough. I need you to speak because I need my words are hard for people to hear and it's okay. And you just have to get over people not liking you. And I said, okay, I get over it. And so I don't know why. Just was like, from then on out, I'm like, I don't care what people think. Like, you don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
It is like what it is. It's kind of an interesting thing. It's just interesting to it was all within an hour, all of that cycle. And it went from this really intense feeling of like shame and what did I do and whatever. I wish it wasn't spotlight on me. All the things of why I don't even like doing this sometimes. Not sometimes.
Why you didn't want to do it.
Yeah, why I didn't want to do it. And it was like, this is what always happens. It's like a confirmation of the lie. Like, oh yeah, dad said this about me. And then when it was confirmed from an outside source, it was like, it wasn't in my head. It was real. And it's not true because the darkness uses different voices to speak death over you all the time. And so you cannot hear, you have to declare those off of you and say, Lord, I only hear your voice. What do you want me to know? And everything is just like, stay with me. I got you. It's not on me. It's not on you. I got you. And I walked out of that and I just don't care. Even if and that's really hard for me because it's the whole point of why I didn't like going out in the light anyways, posting on my Instagram or anything like that. But what is it doing by being quiet and sitting down for the kingdom? Like, it's not doing anything. I don't need to beat people over the head, but God's just like, be you. And that's it. That's all I'm calling you to do. And I'll take care of the rest. So I don't really care about, where, You know, if he calls this to be a year long and he says, we're done. Okay, we're done. Like, it feels like it's more freeing to feel like you're just doing what the Lord wants you to do. And you don't have to have attachments to anything. And I'm not saying attachments are like bad, like good attachments to people and relationships, but attachments feel like clinging. You cling to something like, I can't let this go. This is, whatever. And I just don't feel that way about pretty much anything.
Yeah. That's how I feel too.
That's what I'm saying. When you explained that, I was like, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's exactly how it feels. It's more like I have to be aware. What I realized is I've had to be aware of the feeling that I get from it, where if something happens that is hitting that people pleasing moment where I want to say yes, but I know I have to say no, whether it's been in hanging out with friends or it's doing more extra on a Sunday when we said we want to, as a family, have more rest. Those things pop up all the time. And it's really saying no and learning to feel it and understand, like, gosh, that was hard. Okay, why was it hard? And I sit in the why. And I'm like, okay, it's hard because I feel like I'm missing out if I don't, or I won't be invited to the next thing if I don't. And the truth is that's not the truth. I will be invited again. Or if I'm not invited, then they weren't my really good friends anyways who wanted to spend that time with me. And in the end, the rest was what I needed with my family to sit around and hang out and play games and do whatever we do, cook and just spend time with the Lord at church and come, that's what was needed. But it's asking, what is this feeling? Kind of digging into it. Why do I feel this? But just like you said, then releasing it, because it's not yours to carry. It's yours there's a holy no. That is a holy word. And if the Lord is saying, do not come into agreement with that, with a yes, do not do something I'm not calling you to, that's obedience. Like, there are aspects that we have to then take that off, release it, also share the feeling. Like, God, I'm actually scared that I'm not gonna, be invited again to this.
Yes.
I'm really scared that, this is gonna interfere with our family time. Lord, I'm scared. And usually for me, it's scared. Fear, scared is that under that umbrella. Or sad. Sometimes it's sad, but it's usually that scared. And he's like, give it to me. Give it to me. Release this. Share it. Confess that and release it. And releasing it is, I physically often do. Like, my hands come out, I'm laying it before him, and I move to what is the truth. The truth is, I'm going to be invited again. I'm loved. I have great friendships. I have great family. Like, I'm taken care of. I'm okay. My family is important, and this is my priority right now. And in that, there will be another season for more time to be able to do those things. But for right now, the season is not for that. It's here and there and checking in and catching up when I can and seeing how we can work together by working out or calling or going for walks or something like that. But it's not all the extras, and that's okay. And it's learning to be okay with that and really having the peace. So then I'll ask him typically, give me your strength, give me your peace, give me your joy, for the blessing, the overflow is in this moment with my family. Let me just enjoy this, not my mind wander to the other side. Let me just be so present here. And that's a daily habit. It's a daily way of doing it. And learning to do it. But once it becomes a flow, it becomes very natural. For me, it becomes very natural to be like, no, it's okay. I don't have to. I spent 40 years saying yes to everything and being burned out. And now I'm living full freedom and peace of saying yes when I know I'm need to be there, and being outside my comfort zone sometimes, and saying no when I'm not. And it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. I'm so happy for you too. Thanks. Because it's, from the outside it looked, exhausting.
Yeah.
But, you know, you had this, you know, the part of that's almost unhuman to be like, she's just got endless energy. It's like unhuman to even put that on somebody. No one does.
Yeah,
no one has
right.
endless energy like that. Like that's, you know, you always had, you know, something on the calendar. It's hard to do anything, you know, but that I do think the Lord peeling that back has almost brought even more depth
Completely.
to
I was
everything.
surface.
Not even just the friendships. Like I'm talking like family and your relationship with the Lord and like our family too, just outside of your, you know, your personal family. And I think there's something, I always like laugh that growing up, there was always these like rules to following Jesus, and there really isn't. Again, we complicate everything, but everything that he does tell us to do or not do is only for our good. Like I look back on everything, and yes, I will try to teach my children to understand that the first time, but they're going to have to learn on their own, you know, way of going through it and understanding it too, like I did, you know. Maybe it looks different, you know, but I think that's the beauty of how much grace we're given. But like I looked up verses to see, I'm like, I know there's like fear of man. I know that one where it's like, oh, I actually wrote it down because I knew I was going to paraphrase it wrong, but it was like, do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. And that's Matthew. And that's the verse I always think of when I think of fear of man. Cause I'm like, I used to be a kid that was terrified of, because we lived in a house of darkness, of the going to sleep because I had bad dreams. I would see things. I would, you know, it made total sense now looking back. But at some point I had to like accept, I'm like, okay, if I go out that way, then that's how I go out. Like, even though it's not great, it's like, and now I could claim that it's not how I have to go out. Like I could just say, Lord, you protect me and you guide me in that. But it was realizing that the power isn't about just fearing what can happen in this body, but realizing I care more about how my soul is in this. And this is kind of like, maybe it's a little too intense of a thing. And I don't know if you've ever thought of this. This is how my little brain worked, you know, going through all these crazy things. I know I don't remember if you were in high school at the time of Columbine. How old were you? No, maybe you were in college.
Was it? Columbine I was in college.
Maybe.
I graduated in 2002.
I'll look that up. Maybe it's 2000, maybe it's 2007. I feel like you were in high school.
I was young.
I was going to say, I feel like you were, this is my memory serves me right.
Were you born yet?
He was 4 years old.
4?
Yeah, he was 4 years old.
Gosh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
wow.
I thought you were in high school. I don't remember because I thought it was really relatable in terms of like I remember you were in high school and it was like a high school in Colorado, I think it is. But that was the first one ever. And that was like, that was a big, and I always remember one of the girls got shot because she said that she professed that she followed Jesus. And I thought, would I do that? Like, you see all these people around the world who they're working harder to follow Jesus than we get to in this nation, you know, and do I fear my body die? Like, you know, what somebody would think of me. And I don't know if at that age, like in high school, I would have been like full on, like, yes, maybe I would have in my own like self-righteousness, like, yes, I do. But like, I've never had that happen to me, obviously. And all I can think of is like, first off, an incredible faith right there to just be like, I don't care. I stand with Jesus. But, you know, I think about that. It might not be that situation, but how many times do we have that happen to us?
Yeah.
In terms of like, do you really believe this? Or am I too embarrassed to say it out loud because I know some of these people might not like me if I disagree with them because I follow Jesus?
Yeah.
And I just think that the Lord is gentle to not obviously put us all in situations where our life's on the line. But I thought about that verse whenever I think of that every time. I don't know. And it always sticks with me, just knowing like, I want to have that faith that no matter what, all it is me and Jesus. Like all it is that matters is God. And that's to a lot of people scary because it'd be like, that's stupid. You know, to the world, it'd be like, that's stupid. Just say no, even if you do agree, like just whatever. But I just don't know. I find, you know, like there's so many times like the fear of, like the more verses, like the fear of man lays a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is safe. And who are you? And that's Proverbs. Who are you that you are afraid of man who dies, of the son of man who is made like you, like grass, and have forgotten the Lord, your maker. Like grass, it's like the withering away. You can wither away in a day. We're not given tomorrow. We're not promised tomorrow. We're not having all this stuff. And we get so caught up in our lives and caring about what people think and doing all the things and making sure our kids look the same in the school. And we drive the cars that go around and the little car lines and wave and have our hair nice and do all these things. And not that there are things that the Lord calls us to care about. Obviously, hygiene, all those things are important.
Right.
For our children, you know, whatever. But like, does it really matter in the end of the day? If you have it, you know, on the ride home, you're gone. And you don't know, because that's not the life we live. We don't know when those times are being. And this isn't like a scare tactic of like, it's just a thought. Like, do you really today in this moment, the moment you're given, like fear the Lord and just care about what he thinks about you? And I feel like I can today say that, but there's plenty of seasons in my life I could not say that.
Yeah.
And it was my actions that were showing me that I didn't care. It was the actions of caring about myself first, caring about, because in those actions, usually because of other things. How am I going to be perceived? Are people going to like me? This, and the other. Am I doing this right? It isn't about God. It's about me, which is about man. So I do think it's not a judgment. It's just a planting a seed of, hey, it's something to think about. How much do I give to man? Because if it's even an ounce more than the Lord, that's what I'm serving.
Well, and that just immediately made me think of Matthew 16:24. Then Jesus said to his disciples, who that's what we are called. We're called to be his disciples. If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross and follow me. That's dying to yourself, surrender, letting go of your plans, letting go of your ways, and follow any way the Lord is leading you, any way the Lord is speaking, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's doesn't feel like everybody else is doing it that way. Or why are you sending me here? Why am I doing this? There is a reason. And if we die to ourselves and take up the cross and follow Jesus, he will direct the path. He will give us an abundant life. He promises that. And it might look nothing like you're imagining, but it's everything more freedom, peace, and joy that come only through him.
Yeah, it's better.
It's better.
Yeah, it's better. I think the dying to yourself too aspect feels like it's not saying go be a martyr.
Yeah.
It's just saying that the more, and it's not saying you have to have everything right. It's just go sit with your Father and ask him, what do you want my life to look like? Is there things in my life that don't honor you or aren't bringing me closer to you? Is there things in my heart? Because like people could say, well, I have anxiety when it comes to making sure I please people because it's like a trigger. It's something that bring that to the Lord.
Yeah.
Because those things, I'm not saying everyone has something.
Yeah.
And that it's the chains that are holding us down. It's not making sure your friend likes you. It's a root cause of why, if I lost them, would it matter? Like in terms of like deeply, is it because I abandonment thing? It's a deeper root. And if you can figure out that and just come to the Lord and release it, you can also have a better, healthier friendship with that same person.
Yeah.
The saying, they don't even know you're functioning in that way of you saying yes all the time. They're just like, she's so agreeable and just says yes to everything I say. It's like a great friendship.
Yeah.
And that's not also like, that's not friendship, you know? And so you could bring this like vibrant friendship back to them and have a deeper friendship with somebody too. And I think that all this is for our good in our life. Like he's not saying go be alone, go die, go do, that's not what he is. He's saying, I want you to live abundantly And that's having abundant relationships, abundant friendships, abundant self-esteem, you know, and self-esteem is usually a big fear of man problem because it's what other people usually said about you.
Yeah. There's freedom there. It's sometimes we don't recognize it. Like if you would have said that was like my issue in high school, I would have been like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I'm loving everybody. I'm loving, God's called me to love everyone. So that's what I'm doing. And that's not the truth. It was in living a lie that I came to agree that that's how I was supposed to be a good Christian. And so the truth is that he wanted to give me freedom and he had to allow me to see. And sometimes in those hardships of seeing is the breaking point. It's like, that is the surrender. It's like the situation happens. You're like, nope, I hate this. This hurt. Like this is pain. This is me in tears sitting at your feet, but it's giving eyes to see a situation that's you've been living in. And the enemy wants to keep you there. The enemy loves this because you're not living for the Lord. You're living for man. And he can control that, there's control and manipulation and chains of
Satan has power.
Yes.
That's like something I'm like reading about in this book. That's like, he was created by God. Mm-hmm. He obviously got kicked out, but that didn't change his abilities. Mm-hmm. You see, and it was something in the books that like the reading said, it was talking about how you see like any artist that's out there, God created them to have that talent to sing or that talent to understand any note and play it. They're made to worship him, and he doesn't take that away. Mm-hmm. So he's like, the author was talking about, it's like Satan doesn't get his powers taken away just because he disobeyed and got kicked out. He just got kicked out of being in the presence of the Lord. Mm-hmm. So you have to remind yourself, like, yes, we have authority in things, but he's smart. He's manipulative. Mm-hmm. He's talented. He has power. And it would be almost like it was saying like you talking about just like this dishonoring Satan's not going to do any good for you because that it's the law of God, like how God's law works in terms with him. So it's just realizing that is still that's strong. It's not just God is stronger, but that's what God's going to handle that. Mm-hmm. And so these situations, is just saying, I'm going to come to you, Lord,
for him to handle
and resist. The Lord does say, resist the devil and he will flee. Mm-hmm. But he's not saying you need to like look at these things and just head on, let's go after. He's like, just come to me. Mm-hmm. So like, that's what you're saying with the darkness coming. It's like, you have to remind yourself, like it's powerful.
It is powerful, but our God is
But we're not honoring that in that way. It's just saying, don't play dumb.
Yes. So you come
don't act
to
like
him.
you can just be like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
I can let go of that problem. Oh, not caring what someone thinks. Sure. It
takes time. It's a journey.
That's a self thing.
Yeah. It's a journey. That's part of it. It didn't take me like, oh, here's a weekend.
Yeah.
It took me, here's 3 years. Here's 7 years. There's parts to it. I mean, that's what he did. He took me through the first part of recognizing it and learning to say no, then say no, then feeling what that represented in a no and how it made you feel and how it made the other feel. And you're like, oh, I hate that feeling. Okay, I got to work on the wound. There's the wound. And then the last part of it was once I recognized it, now I have to like live it out. And living it out is also constantly, putting up the armor, constantly understanding that it's the Lord's to carry. It's not mine to carry. It's those things that if I'm going to be obedient and surrender to the Lord, he's going to tell me to do certain things that are uncomfortable, but he's doing it to prepare me. He's doing it to widen my tent pegs. He's doing it so I can handle more and steward more. And he's saying, I trust you in this. Do it. And it's your job to be obedient if you are a disciple of Christ. So it's not easy and it's not fun and it is a journey, but it's a journey worth taking because living how I used to live was trapped and so exhausting. And I was weary, but he promised that in that weariness, he will give me real rest. And he did through this journey of releasing. now I feel like I'm on the other side of true freedom and real abundance.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's great.
I love that we talked about this.
Me too.
Anything
It was a good
else
topic.
you want to share?
That's all I got.
know.
So good.
But all I would say is like ending with it. I would say I wrote down some things that might be characteristics of what it looks like to fear man. And if you're questioning, because like you said, you're like, I didn't see it as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things were obviously people pleasing, avoiding rejection, wanting approval, caring about your reputation, like how it looks, avoiding conflict, and shame and comparison or peer pressure too with it. But if those are something that like, even if you look through your life and you're just like, I don't care, because this could be like, I could say no to people, but this is a umbrella. It's multifaceted because we're multifaceted, and it's a good thing that we are because God's created us that way, but it could be tainted to be a little off. Like you don't need to compare to anybody because God only made you. And I think that's what you're saying is come to the Father. He's going to tell you the truth, exactly what it is. And it usually just sounds really different than what the world's telling you. But it's peaceful and it's freeing. And I see that in you. Like I just see
Thank you.
You're not as, and you're just not as exhausted. I don't feel like you're spread thin. You have more you have so much to give every time you approach anything. And it's like, that's really amazing because it's, you don't know if people would ever see that. And not that I fully knew that was, I could obviously see aspects of it, but you don't know the heart of somebody too, this is why it's so important when you're talking with people. You don't know the heart of why someone's doing what they're doing.
Right. Well, thank you.
No,
I receive all
course.
those things.
Well, thanks for listening.
So good. Great topic.
Yeah. So
Very much needed.
until next time.
All right. Bye.